Hey everybody, welcome back to Film Files. Film lovers, directors, writers, producers, actors, and people who just enjoy watching movies. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to the
I'm Mike.
podcast. Josh.
Cameron.
Josh is the one with the nice voice. I'm the one that talks too much, and Cameron's the good one.
Good at what?
We're not sure yet.
Yeah,
I'm good.
we have to figure that out.
Anyway, while we're figuring that out, let's go ahead and talk Wonder Woman.
I took many notes.
You took many notes. I texted a lot during the show, but it was my third time watching it.
So
Enough said. In
Yeah.
theaters. Guys, it was a good movie.
wait. Let's start out here. Like, coming from the past DC movies and also coming from Marvel's success,
Okay.
going into this movie, what were we all expecting?
I was expecting something a little more like Batman v Superman, or maybe like, I don't know, Dark Knight sort of thing. Maybe not as dark as Dark Knight, but Batman Begins. I didn't have very high hopes. I thought maybe there'd be a super overarching feminist theme to it. And because, Wonder Woman, every opportunity is there. That was my impression, but I decided to go into it with an open mind. What did you think, Cameron?
I personally, going into it, when I saw the movie, I knew that there was lots of people talking about it, ranting and raving about how
Right.
good it was. But leading up to its release, I didn't really pay much attention. I think that the other DC movies really turned me off to the DC movies, like just that whole Justice League universe. And so I didn't really think too much about it going into it. So it wasn't really like I had high hopes for it or that I was comparing it too much. I was just watching it because people were saying it was good.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think for me, going in, I go in with a bit of skepticism just because it is DC and they've had a bad track record. Also concerning, like, with the feminism is this over-sexualization of Wonder Woman, I think, as well. Just kind of being cautious of that from a being respectful of women kind of thing and how she's dressed and stuff like that. So I think definitely keep an eye on that as far as that goes. But I honestly, as soon as I saw the first trailers and I heard that theme, I was like, this is probably going to be really good. So I had somewhat good expectations going into it.
Yeah. And I think Sam and I went and saw it opening night or opening weekend and just couldn't get over it, couldn't get enough of it. It was a really well done film, and above all, it had a storyline that just felt good. You liked it, you enjoyed it. It was...
Well, and social media has been exploding over this movie, especially from women, and it's been very empowering for them and just gives them a female hero to identify with, and I think it's been good.
One of my sisters posted 20 times about how good the movie was.
Shout out to you.
Love you, sis.
It's been amazing that it's like every single woman who goes and sees, okay, maybe 99% of them post about it, about how much they loved it and how they themselves are Wonder Woman, which makes other women that read it go, no, I'm Wonder Woman, and it's
like
quite fun to
Spartacus.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Because they all want to be Spartacus.
No,
They all want to be
Spartacus.
Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Just redact that whole scene.
Okay.
Cuts.
Let's talk specifics in this movie. Actually,
Okay.
let's start with the director of this film. This is director of the film was
Female director.
female director. Pulling up her name, Patty Jenkins, who has been around for a little while, directed a few things. Maybe the one she's most famous for was Monster way back in the day, which was about...
Was that the one with Halle Berry? No, that's Monster Ball.
That's
Was it
Monster
about
Ball.
a monster?
This one's about the rough life of prostitution and stuff like that. And very,
Gotcha.
very hard
That
thing.
is a big
and
monster.
yeah, and then all of a
Seriously.
sudden she comes out and does Wonder Woman and completely blows it out of the park. One thing that was most interesting to me, and there will be spoilers in this episode, go and see it and then come back and watch this.
Yeah.
Actually watch this, then go and see it, then watch it again.
And then watch this again.
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
share it. And yeah. just do
Anyways.
it.
Yes, Film Files Podcast. That's what we're about. So, one thing that was really interesting to me is that the fight scene, the action scene that was in the middle, coming up out of the trenches and taking over no man's land, marching through no man's land, taking the trenches, and then the following town, was a scene that almost wasn't. That it
Really?
was yeah, okay, so Patty Jenkins goes in and pitches the whole film and everything to the executives, and this particular scene, she talked about having to fight tooth and nail for it to actually exist. That the executives didn't really buy into it. They didn't think it was totally necessary.
Do you know if
progression
it
of the
was
show.
part of Zack Snyder's original screenplay, or was it?
I don't know for sure. I didn't quite get that far into the details. It just made me immediately think of what we've talked about before with Joss Whedon and his battles with executives thinking that they know better.
Right, yeah, for sure.
And it's interesting that Patty Jenkins fought tooth and nail for it. And honestly, without that scene in the middle, it would have been a completely different film, and it would not have been nearly as good.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that was when things started to really kick into gear. A lot of the development in the beginning, it was just like they're fighting, but it was training or something, or there was like a little fight on the beach with the Germans. But this was like the first real moment. Like, this is Wonder Woman. She's here to fight, kick butt, take names.
Without it, there would without that no man's land scene, there would not be enough credibility given to Wonder Woman that she can actually take care of herself when going up against a Greek god.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
totally
well,
true.
and I think even because that wasn't a moment necessarily for us as the audience to justify her cause or her going out on her own. I feel like it was a moment for the characters in the movie, the men. They're like, because Chris Pine's character, Steve, he's like, nobody goes up there and lives. No man goes up there and lives when he's describing No Man's Land to her. And it reminded me a lot of that scene in Lord of the Rings when we're talking about the ring wraith leader and no man can kill me. Yeah, I am no man, right? It's this very identifying, clear message of who she is as a character, and it's a very pivotal narrative scene. And as we've said, the movie would not be the same without it. So good for her for sticking to her guns for that scene, because I think it was much needed.
My favorite in that moment was, no man can survive that. I'm the man that can do that. It's cute.
Were you gonna say something? Karen?
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, when it comes down to the no man's land, and it wasn't. I feel like it wasn't just for the men. It also showed a lot of progression just in the entire story, because if without it, the movie would have been, she's on the island training, she leaves the island, immediately goes and fights a Greek god and wins. You know,
Right.
I mean, there has to be that development in the middle. For if you're going to reach that end point, you have to have her actually doing some fighting, some real life experience. Because we saw earlier in the film when during the beach fight, she almost was surprised in that slow-mo shot of the bullet going between her and Chris Pine and the other
Hitting the other Amazon.
yeah, she gets shot and dies, and it's like a moment of realization for her there. So I think
This outside force that comes in and like kills one of their own, which they've never experienced before.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was essential. Like, I'm
Yeah.
surprised that the executives were debating cutting it.
Yeah, it seems a little absurd. The one last thing I'll mention about it is that emotionally, I think it was another pivotal moment in the narrative, because up to that point, she stands up to her mom and does training. She goes off with Steve, defies her mom again. In the war room meetings, she sticks up for what she believes in. She's like, "You men don't deserve to be in this position." Like, the generals I know are out on the front lines fighting with their men, and just like it was her moment to be like, "Enough is enough. I'm finally gonna do what I think is right."
What I was intending to do all along.
Right.
And it's like, it would not have completely made sense if she just went along with Steve, with Chris Pine's character, and ignored all these things that she really wanted to do to help. And another thing that's kind of brought up on the feed here is that without that whole scene of saving the town and freeing the townspeople who became, the slaves of the German army, it would not have nearly drawn enough impact, spoiler alert, when Wonder Woman goes back in and finds them all dead from the poison gas from Dr. Poison.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
without that liberation attack,
There would have been no emotional context.
no emotional context.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing to me that the executives really wanted to take it out, which goes to show you once again that Joss Whedon was right all along. We're with you, Joss.
Yeah.
We're with you.
Good Joss. Hashtag Joss.
Hashtag
Joss
Joss.
wins.
Who is now part of the DC universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming in to direct Aquaman and Company.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another reason why I'm having a really hard time with the whole DC universe still, is that Green Lantern and Aquaman are still kind of there.
I like Green Lantern.
Okay.
I mean, the movie that came out, like, how long ago was it now? Like 10 years ago? That wasn't such a good movie. But I like the character. I think Green Lantern's a cool story. Cool
I mean, I
character.
love Ryan
I mean,
Reynolds.
Aquaman, I don't really know
All I
anything
know is
about.
that when
So.
we play Injustice at my house, my brother likes to use that character type to spam the same move over and over and whoop me. So I kind of have a...
Spam button mash.
Not
No, I'm
the
just
kindest
kidding. I like
relationship.
Green Lantern.
Okay.
I think. I don't know.
You know, the humor in Wonder Woman was actually pretty good, pretty spot on. Like it. Okay,
Should we talk about that in a new segment?
probably. I just one last thing is
Okay.
like we came out of this film. Sam and I did the first time we saw it, second time and third time we saw it, feeling like this feels like the old Marvel movies, like from the very beginning. This feels like the old, maybe not so much Captain America feel, but you guys might think so. The first Avengers movie felt like this. It had humor, it had action, it had good storylines without anything going over the top. It had executives not screwing things up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Let's continue with that thought in the next segment. Join
Okay.
us.
Coming back to you in a minute. Or in a week. I don't know.